Jack Morris guided his small cargo ship through the empty sky of Draydenmore. The planet was quiet tonight, colder than usual, with clouds rolling low over the mountains. He had flown here many times before, delivering supplies to small colonies at the edge of human space. He liked the quiet. It meant no trouble. Tonight, though, something felt different. He could not explain it, but the feeling made his stomach twist. As he prepared to land, his sensors picked up a faint signal. It was weak, irregular, and almost like a pulse. He frowned. It was not a distress beacon from any human colony. Curiosity pushed him to follow it. He flew lower, through the clouds, until he saw an old landing pad near the edge of the forest. The signal came from there. He landed softly, the engines humming and echoing against the mountains. The place looked abandoned. Plants had grown around the pad, and rust covered the metal parts of old structures. Jack stepped out, holding his small flashlight. The cold wind blew, and the clouds moved fast above him. He saw movement near the edge of the trees. "Hello?" he called softly. A small figure stepped into the light. It was a girl, no older than 16, but her eyes were strange. They glowed faintly in the dark. Her skin looked pale, almost too smooth, and she had long hair that shone like silver under the light of his flashlight. In her arms, she held a small bundle wrapped in glowing cloth. The baby inside made tiny noises, half crying and half humming a soft sound that made Jack stop in surprise. "Stay back," she whispered. "Don't come closer." Jack raised his hand slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." "Are you hurt?" The girl hesitated. Her eyes darted around. She looked scared. "They will find me," she said. "They will take the baby. You have to help us." Jack frowned. "Who will take the baby? Who are you?" She shook her head. "There is no time to explain. Please, just get us out of here." He looked at her carefully. She was not human, but she looked almost human. The baby was small, fragile, and glowing faintly like some kind of living light. Jack's instincts told him she was telling the truth. Whatever was chasing them was close, and if they stayed here, both the girl and the baby would die. "Okay," he said finally. "Get in my ship. Fast." The girl hesitated, then ran toward him. The baby made a small noise and reached toward Jack instinctively. He took it gently and held it close. The girl ran beside him, moving faster than anyone should be able to. They reached the ship, and Jack opened the hatch. She jumped in first, then he followed, carrying the baby. Once inside, Jack sealed the hatch and started the engines. The baby stirred, looking around with wide, glowing eyes. The girl, who finally introduced herself as Elia, whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for helping us." Jack nodded, but did not speak. He started the ship, lifting off the pad. The clouds were thick, and he had to navigate carefully. "You need to tell me what's going on," he said after a moment. Elia shook her head. "Not yet. They are tracking us. If they know, you will be in danger too. Just fly." Jack frowned. "You don't tell me much, do you?" She shook her head. "It is not safe." He glanced at the baby. It looked calm, almost as if it knew Jack. The baby reached out and touched his hand. A strange warmth ran through him. He had no idea what it was, but it made him feel connected to them. He pulled the ship out of the clouds and into the night sky. Stars shone brightly above. He tried to relax, but the feeling of being watched did not leave him. Sensors picked up nothing unusual. If they were being hunted, it was by something very good at hiding. Jack finally asked, "How far do you need to go?" Elia looked down at the baby. "Far. Farther than any human has flown. We need a safe place, a place they cannot find us." Jack nodded. He knew this planet had old smuggler routes, abandoned stations, and hidden bases. He could get them out, but it would not be easy. He had made a life out here by avoiding trouble, not fighting it. Now, trouble had found him. As they flew, Elia began to relax slightly. She leaned back and let the baby rest in her arms. She had been running for days, hiding during the day and moving only at night. She had never trusted anyone before. Humans were strong, she had learned, but unpredictable. Somehow, Jack seemed different. He did not ask questions, he did not judge, he simply acted. It gave her hope. "Why do they want the baby?" Jack asked finally, breaking the silence. Elia hesitated. "It is special, important. Some people see it as a weapon, others see it as a key. They will not stop until they have it. If it falls into the wrong hands—" She trailed off. Her eyes filled with fear. Jack clenched his fists. "We won't let that happen." The baby stirred again, looking at Jack with wide eyes. Jack could feel a strange energy in the ship. Almost like the baby could sense danger. Every time a shadow passed near a planet, the baby reacted, squirming or humming softly. Jack realized the baby was not just fragile. It had some kind of awareness beyond what humans understood. Jack decided they needed a plan. They could not stay in one place too long. He could fly through old asteroid fields, behind planets, or near space debris to hide their signature. Elia nodded when he explained it. She had traveled through the galaxy alone, but never with anyone like Jack. His mind worked differently. He thought like a human, slow and careful, but also clever in unexpected ways. Hours passed in silence, the baby sleeping now. Elia leaned back, finally letting herself rest. Jack kept the ship steady, eyes scanning the dark for any sign of movement. Every now and then, he thought he saw flickers on the edge of his sensors, shadows, but nothing solid. Whatever was hunting them was patient. It waited. It studied. Jack spoke softly. "We are going to need supplies soon. Food, fuel, medicine. Do you know any safe places?" Elia nodded. "There is a small colony on the next planet, abandoned mostly, but there is a safe house there. We can rest." Jack frowned. Abandoned is not always safe, but it may be our only choice. We can't stay in open space forever. As they approached the planet, Jack prepared the landing. The planet was dark, cold, and winds whipped around the surface. He found the safe house coordinates Elia gave him. The place looked empty from the outside. Vines had grown over the walls and the windows were dark. Jack landed quietly, keeping the engines low. Elia got out first, carrying the baby. She moved like a shadow, careful and silent. Jack followed. The inside of the safe house was dusty but intact. There were old supplies, water, and food. Elia checked the baby, who seemed to recognize the place, humming softly in contentment. Jack finally asked, "Why did you trust me?" Elia looked at him. "Because you did not run away. Because you did not ask me too many questions. Because when I looked at you, I did not feel fear. I felt hope." Jack nodded. He had never been called a hero. He was a simple pilot, living alone. But somehow he felt responsible for them. He would protect them, no matter what. Outside, the wind howled through the empty streets of the colony. Shadows moved among the broken buildings. Jack knew they had been seen. The hunters were close. He could feel it. The baby sensed it too. Humming faster, a low glow coming from the cloth wrapping it. Jack set up the defenses in the safe house, old traps, alarms, and sensors. Elia helped, moving quickly and quietly. They worked together, silently understanding each other. Jack realized that even in the darkest night, they were not alone. Together, they could survive. The night stretched on. Outside, the wind screamed, but inside the safe house, the baby slept, glowing softly. Jack and Elia watched, knowing that the next step would be the hardest. The hunters would not give up. The galaxy had already turned its eyes on them, and the choices they made tonight would decide if they survived the next dawn. Jack felt a strange calm. He had faced danger before, but never like this. Never with someone depending on him so completely. He looked at Elia and the baby. He knew that tomorrow everything could change, but tonight he would protect them. That was enough for now. As the night deepened, Jack checked the perimeter once more. The stars above were bright, the planet quiet. But Jack knew the calm was only temporary. The hunters were patient. The galaxy had many eyes, and they were all on the small trio hidden in the dark of night. But Jack did not flinch. He had flown through storms, chased pirates, and escaped more danger than most humans would see in a lifetime. He would face whatever came next, because in this moment, in the dark of night, a human, an alien girl, and a baby had a chance to survive. And Jack would not let it slip away. Elia sat near the baby, whispering soft words. The baby hummed in response, a tiny light glowing brighter for a moment. Jack smiled faintly. Whatever the baby was, it was alive, aware, and powerful in ways he could not yet understand. But he knew one thing. Together, they had a chance. And sometimes, that was all that mattered in the dark of night. The next morning, the planet was quiet but tense. Jack checked the perimeter of the safe house again. He could feel that someone or something had been near during the night. Footprints in the dust led away from the house, and broken branches told him that hunters were close. He shared his worries with Elia, who held the baby tightly. "We cannot stay here long," she said softly. "They will find us soon. They are patient. They watch." Jack nodded. He knew she was right. The galaxy was big, but hunters could be clever. They had technology that could track small heat signatures and detect even minor movements. Staying in one place was dangerous. He packed the ship quietly. The baby stirred, making small noises, and Elia soothed it. "It's okay," she whispered. "We will leave soon." The baby responded with a soft hum, a glowing light coming from the cloth it was wrapped in. Jack watched them both. The baby was special, he realized. It seemed to sense danger before they did. Once ready, Jack started the ship. The engines hummed low so as not to draw attention. He lifted off carefully, staying below the clouds. The sensors remained silent, but Jack could not shake the feeling that eyes were on them. "How far to the next planet?" he asked Elia. "About 3 days' flight," she said. "If we take a safe path through the asteroid field, we can avoid patrols, but it will be dangerous. The rocks can crush the ship if we are not careful." Jack nodded. He knew the asteroid field. He had flown through it before, but never with passengers this important. One wrong move, and the ship could be destroyed. He adjusted the course and moved into the darkness of space. Hours passed, and the ship hummed steadily. Elia finally spoke, her voice quiet. "I have never trusted anyone like this before. Humans, you are strong in ways we did not expect. You care when others would run." Jack shrugged. "I care when people need help. I am not special." She looked at him with a serious expression. "You are special. You are giving the baby and me a chance to live. You do not know how much that means." Jack glanced at the baby, who was sleeping but glowing faintly. The glow seemed to respond to her words. Jack smiled faintly. "I guess we all have a role to play." The calm did not last long. Sensors beeped suddenly. A small blip appeared in the distance. Jack frowned and checked the readings. It was faint, but it moved fast, coming closer. "We have company," he said, voice tense. Elia looked at the baby, who stirred and hummed softly. The light in its cloth brightened slightly. "They found us," she whispered. "We need to move fast." Jack pushed the engines harder. The small blip grew larger on the screen. It was a scout ship, fast and agile. He maneuvered through space debris, dodging large chunks of rock. The scout followed, but Jack's knowledge of asteroid fields helped him stay hidden. The rocks blocked sensors, and the scout had to slow down to avoid collisions. "This way," Jack said, guiding them deeper into the field. "They may follow, but it will be harder for them." Elia held the baby close. "I hope it is enough." Jack knew it might not be. The hunters were smart, relentless, and had no mercy. The baby stirred, sensing the danger. The hum grew louder, and the glow brightened. Jack realized the baby was warning them. It was not just a child. It had awareness and power he could not yet understand. Hours passed in tense silence. Jack guided the ship carefully, avoiding large asteroids and moving through narrow gaps. The scout ship followed, but its movements became slower, less accurate. Finally, Jack found a small cluster of abandoned satellites. He guided the ship inside the cluster, hiding among the metal and solar panels. The scout passed by, scanning the area, but did not see them. Jack exhaled, feeling slightly relieved. "We may have lost them for now," he said. Elia looked at the baby, who hummed softly, almost like a lullaby. "We cannot stay long," she said. "They will try again, and next time they may come with more ships." Jack nodded. He knew she was right. They needed a longer-term plan. "We will have to reach the safe planet quickly. There may be more obstacles, but it is the only place we can rest safely." The ship moved slowly toward the planet, careful to stay hidden among space debris and shadows. Elia explained more about the baby. "It is not just a child," she said. "It can sense danger, feel emotions, and sometimes it can protect itself. But it is still small and fragile. If it is captured, everything will be lost." Jack looked at the baby, sleeping peacefully in her arms. He felt a strange connection, a sense of responsibility stronger than anything he had ever felt. "I will keep it safe," he said firmly. Elia smiled faintly. "I know you will. That is why we trust you." The journey was long. Jack had to navigate carefully, avoiding patrols, rogue ships, and natural dangers. The asteroid field was difficult, but it gave them cover. Every movement was calculated. The baby hummed occasionally, warning them of small threats that Jack's sensors did not detect. It was almost like a second sense guiding them. On the second day, the scout returned with reinforcements. 3 larger ships appeared on the sensors, faster and more advanced than the first. Jack's heart sank. They had been found again. The baby stirred, glowing brighter and humming louder. Elia tightened her grip. "We cannot outrun them," she said. "We will have to fight or hide." Jack considered their options. The ships were faster, but the asteroid field could slow them down. He calculated a risky maneuver, leading the hunters into a narrow gap between 2 large asteroids. The ships followed, but the gap was too small. One crashed into a rock, another spun out of control, and the third barely escaped, badly damaged. "That should slow them down," Jack said, panting. Elia nodded, holding the baby. "It is not over. They will come again." Jack knew she was right. The hunters were persistent. They would not give up. But for now, they had survived another attack. The baby's glow dimmed slightly, as if it were calming down. Jack realized that the baby was not just sensing danger. It was reacting to it, controlling it in some way. They continued toward the safe planet. The journey was tense, with every blip on the sensors making them jump. Jack used every trick he knew, from false signals to hiding in debris, to avoid being detected. Elia guided him, sharing knowledge of alien technology and hunting strategies. Together, they made a strong team. On the 3rd day, the planet came into view. It was small, rocky, and dark, but it had the safe house coordinates that Elia had shared. Jack prepared to land. "We have made it this far," he said. "Let's hope the last part is not as dangerous." Elia smiled faintly. "It will be dangerous. They will follow if they can. But we have survived worse, and now we are close to safety." Jack landed the ship quietly. The engines hummed low, barely audible. The safe house looked abandoned, just as Aaliyah had said. Vines covered the walls and the windows were dark. Jack and Aaliyah moved quickly, carrying the baby carefully inside. Inside, the safe house was dusty but intact. There were old supplies, water, and food. Aaliyah checked the baby, who hummed softly, glowing faintly. "We are safe. For now," she said. Jack looked around. "We cannot stay long. They will come again, sooner or later." Aaliyah nodded. "We need to rest, plan, and be ready. The next attack may be closer than we think." Jack sat down, exhausted. The past 3 days had been tense, full of danger, and every move had been critical. He looked at Aaliyah and the baby. They had survived, but the journey was far from over. Outside, the wind howled across the empty streets. Shadows moved among broken buildings. Jack knew they had been seen from afar. The hunters were patient and relentless. But inside, the safe house was a small island of light and life. The baby glowed softly. Aaliyah whispered quietly, and Jack felt a small sense of hope. "We will survive," he said softly. "Together, we will survive." Aaliyah smiled. "Yes, together." The baby hummed, a soft, glowing light filling the room. Jack felt a strange warmth, a sense that they were not alone in their fight. The galaxy was big, full of danger, but also full of hope. And for now, the trio could rest, knowing that they had escaped another deadly pursuit. But Jack knew this was only the beginning. The hunters would not give up. They were clever, ruthless, and determined. The next move would be harder, and the choices they made in the coming days would decide if they lived or died. He looked at Aaliyah and the baby. For them, he would fight. For them, he would be strong. And in the dark of space, as night stretched across the stars, he made a silent promise. They would escape. They would survive. And no matter what came next, they would face it together. Jack woke before dawn. The safe house was quiet, except for the soft hum of the baby in Aaliyah's arms. He looked at the two of them and felt a sense of responsibility heavier than anything he had ever known. The hunters had not given up. He could feel it. Every shadow outside, every faint movement in the dust, reminded him that danger was near. Aaliyah stirred, opening her silver eyes. "We cannot stay here long," she whispered. "They will find us soon. They are clever. They wait for mistakes." Jack nodded. He had learned to trust her instincts. She knew more about hunters than he ever would. "What do you suggest?" he asked. "We move tonight. We cannot go by normal routes. We must take the old tunnels beneath the planet. No one uses them anymore. They are dangerous, but they are safe from patrols." Jack frowned. Tunnels were tricky, narrow, dark, easy to trap someone. But it might be the only choice. He nodded. "We will do it, tonight." For the day, they rested. Aaliyah fed the baby, singing softly. Jack cleaned the ship, checked the supplies, and prepared for the long journey underground. The baby seemed calm, almost as if it knew what they were planning. Jack felt a strange comfort in that. The baby was small, but it gave a sense of hope, a reason to keep going. As night fell, Jack and Aaliyah prepared to leave. The streets outside were empty and dark. The wind blew across broken buildings, and faint noises echoed through the abandoned colony. Jack kept the ship running quietly in case they needed a quick escape. Aaliyah led the way, holding the baby close. They moved silently through the shadows, avoiding open areas. The tunnel's entrance was hidden under rubble and vines. Jack helped move the debris, and together they entered the dark passage. The air inside was damp and cold. Echoes of distant water drops made every sound louder. "Stay close," Aaliyah whispered. "The tunnels are narrow. One wrong step, and we could be trapped." Jack followed, keeping a hand on the baby. The soft hum continued, and he realized the baby's glow brightened whenever danger was near. It was like a warning system, small but powerful. They walked for hours. The tunnels twisted and turned, often splitting into smaller paths. Jack marked their way to avoid getting lost. Ilya explained that the tunnels were once used for mining, long abandoned when the planet became unsafe. "They are not perfect," she said, "but they hide us from the sky." "Hunters cannot scan this far underground." Jack nodded. He trusted her judgment. Every now and then he thought he heard movement behind them, small echoes, faint clicks. But whenever he turned, there was nothing. Still, he felt uneasy. Hunters could be patient and clever. He had to assume they were being followed. As they moved deeper, they reached a large cavern. Water dripped from the ceiling, and the ground was uneven. Jack set the baby down carefully. It hummed softly, looking around with glowing eyes. Ilya knelt beside it, whispering soothing words. Jack scanned the area. He saw old mining equipment, rusted but still sturdy. He had an idea. "We can use these," he said. "Traps, barriers. If they follow us, we can slow them down." Ilya nodded. Together they set simple traps using rocks, wires, and old machinery. Jack tested each one, making sure it would trigger without harming the baby or them. The process was slow, but necessary. They had to be ready. Hours passed. The baby slept lightly, its glow dimming and brightening. Jack and Ilya took turns keeping watch. Every sound echoed in the cavern, making their nerves tight. They both knew the hunters would not give up. They were clever, patient, and ruthless. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the tunnels. A low hum, different from the baby's. Jack froze. Ilya held the baby tightly. "They found us," she whispered. Jack grabbed a rock and waited. The sound grew louder, moving through the tunnels. Shadows flickered on the walls. Jack could see the outline of hunters moving cautiously, scanning for signs of life. He signaled to Ilya to stay quiet. The first hunter stepped into the cavern, unaware of the traps. Jack waited, then triggered a mechanism. A loud crash echoed, and rocks fell, blocking the path. The hunter stumbled, confused, giving Jack and Ilya a moment to move deeper. "Move!" Jack whispered. "Keep the baby safe." They ran through the twisting tunnels, careful not to make noise. The baby hummed louder, glowing brightly, almost like it was guiding them. Jack realized the baby had some power to sense danger and warn them. It was incredible, but also made the hunters more determined. They could feel it. Hours later, they reached another cavern, larger and darker. The air was damp and cold, but there was space to rest. Ilya held the baby close, whispering softly. Jack checked the traps they had set. The hunters were still behind them, following cautiously. They had slowed them down, but the hunters would not stop. "We cannot run forever," Ilya said quietly. "We have to fight smart. We need a plan." Jack nodded. He studied the cavern. Stalactites hung from the ceiling, and water pools reflected faint light. He could use the environment to their advantage. "We make a stand here," he said. "We use the tunnels, the traps, the environment. We make them pay for every step." Ilya agreed. Together, they prepared. Jack positioned rocks and wires while Ilya studied the baby, ensuring it stayed safe. They moved quietly, listening to every sound. The hunters were close, their movements careful but determined. Suddenly, the first hunter entered the cavern. It was a large, armored figure, moving silently. Jack signaled to Ilya. They triggered a trap, and the hunter stumbled into a pit covered with rocks. It roared, but could not move. The second hunter appeared, but Jack and Ilya used the narrow space to control the fight. Every movement was precise, careful. The baby hummed loudly, glowing brightly. The hunters hesitated, sensing something strange and powerful. Jack realized the baby's presence affected them, made them unsure. It was small, but it had an influence that even the hunters could not ignore. The fight continued for hours. Jack and Ilya moved carefully, using traps and the terrain. The hunters were strong and clever, but Jack's knowledge of human tactics, combined with Ilya's alien insight, gave them an advantage. The baby's hum guided them, warning of danger before it came. Finally, the last hunter retreated, badly injured and confused. Jack and Elia were exhausted, but alive. The baby hummed softly, glowing dimly. Elia held it close, whispering words of comfort. Jack leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "We did it," he said quietly. "We survived." Elia nodded. "For now. But they will come again. Stronger, smarter. We cannot let our guard down." Jack looked at the baby, who seemed to sense his thoughts. It reached out a tiny hand, glowing faintly as if reassuring him. Jack realized that their survival was not just about fighting. It was about understanding, trusting, and using the small things that seemed weak but were powerful. "We need to keep moving," he said finally. "We cannot stay in one place. The hunters will return." Elia agreed. They rested briefly, then began moving again through the tunnels. Jack marked their path carefully, using old symbols and marks to guide them. Elia whispered to the baby, and the small hum continued. A soft light in the darkness. They traveled for hours, sometimes stopping to rest, sometimes hiding from distant sounds. The baby's glow guided them, always alert, always sensing. Jack realized that they were not alone in this fight. The baby was small, but it gave them strength, hope, and courage. As they reached the outer tunnels, closer to the surface, Jack paused. "We are close to leaving the tunnels. The surface is near, but we must be ready. The hunters may be waiting." Elia nodded, holding the baby tightly. "We will face them together. We have survived worse." Jack smiled faintly. "Yes, together." The night stretched on. The tunnels echoed with faint sounds. Shadows moved in the distance, and the baby hummed softly, a small light in the darkness. Jack felt a sense of hope. They had survived the hunt so far, but he knew the next challenge would be harder. He looked at Elia and the baby. For them, he would fight. For them, he would be strong. And in the dark of the tunnels, as shadows moved and dangers waited, he made a silent promise. They would escape. They would survive. And no matter what came next, they would face it together. Jack, Elia, and the baby emerged from the tunnels just before dawn. The surface of the planet was cold and dark, with shadows stretching across jagged rocks and ruined buildings. The air smelled of dust and metal. Jack looked around carefully. He knew the hunters would be close. They had survived so far, but now the real test awaited them. Elia held the baby tightly, its small glow faint but steady. "They will follow us soon," she whispered. "We must prepare." Jack nodded. He scanned the area. There was an old landing platform nearby, half destroyed but usable. If they could reach it, they might escape the planet. He checked the ship quickly. The engines worked, but they would need every trick to avoid detection. "We cannot just fly out," Jack said. "They will be waiting. We have to make a stand here. We slow them down, buy time, and get the baby to safety." Elia agreed. Together they surveyed the terrain. Rocks, broken buildings, and crumbling walls could be used as barriers. They could hide traps, lure hunters into narrow spaces, and force them to fight on their terms. The baby hummed softly as if sensing the danger ahead. Its glow brightened slightly, warning them. Hours passed as they prepared. Jack set traps with rocks and wires, placing them carefully along likely paths the hunters would take. Elia helped, using her knowledge of alien tech to strengthen the defenses. They moved quietly, working together in silence, the baby safe between them. Finally, Jack climbed onto a high rock to survey the area. He saw movement in the distance. The hunters were coming. 3 ships approached from above, and on the ground, armored figures moved carefully through the ruins. Jack signaled to Elia. "They are close. Be ready." Elia nodded, holding the baby. "We fight together," she said softly. "Do not let them take the baby." The first hunter appeared at the edge of the ruins. Jack waited, then triggered a trap. Rocks tumbled down, forcing the hunter to stop. The second hunter approached from another direction, but Jack and Elia had prepared for this. The baby hummed, glowing brighter, as if warning them of every move the hunters made. The fight began. Jack moved quickly, dodging attacks and using rocks and debris as weapons. Elia was agile, fast, and precise, striking at hunters when they least expected it. The baby's hum grew louder, filling the area with a strange energy that made the hunters hesitate. Jack realized the baby was not just sensing danger. It could influence the hunters, making them unsure and slow. He used this to their advantage, leading the hunters into traps and narrow spaces. One by one, the hunters fell into pitfalls, tripped over wires, or were forced back by clever maneuvers. Hours passed in tense battle. The hunters were strong and clever, but Jack and Elia had strategy, courage, and the baby's guidance. They moved together, protecting each other and keeping the baby safe. Every time a hunter tried to approach the baby, the small glow flared, and the hunter stopped, confused and hesitant. Finally, the last hunter approached. It was larger, more armored, and clearly a leader. Jack knew this would be the hardest fight. Elia held the baby tightly. "We can do this," she said. "Together." Jack nodded. He moved carefully, using rocks and broken walls to block the hunter. Elia struck from the side, forcing it to turn. The baby hummed louder, glowing brightly, filling the area with light. The hunter hesitated, clearly affected by the baby's presence. Jack seized the moment. He used a wire to trip the hunter, sending it crashing into a pile of debris. Elia followed, striking precise blows that forced the hunter to retreat. It roared, but the baby's hum was too strong. The hunter stumbled again, confused and slow. With one final effort, Jack and Elia combined their moves. They forced the hunter to the edge of a broken platform. Jack pushed it carefully and the hunter fell, unable to recover. Silence fell over the area. The battle was over. The hunters were defeated, at least for now. Jack and Elia breathed heavily, exhausted. The baby hummed softly, its glow dimming as if it were calming down. Elia held it close. "We did it," she said. "We survived." Jack nodded. He looked around. The landing platform was clear. If they moved quickly, they could escape the planet and reach safety. He checked the ship. It was ready. "We leave now," he said. They ran across the ruins, careful but fast. The baby hummed, guiding them through the safest path. They reached the ship, climbed in, and Jack started the engines. The hunters' ships had retreated for now. He lifted off the platform, moving into the sky. As they flew, Elia looked at the baby. "You did it," she whispered. The baby hummed, glowing faintly. Jack glanced at them both. He realized how much he cared for them and how far he would go to protect them. The planet shrank below them, dark and dangerous. Jack set a course for the edge of known space, a place where they could rest and plan their next move. Elia held the baby, whispering softly. Jack watched the stars, thinking about the journey ahead. Hours passed in quiet flight. The baby slept, glowing faintly. Elia leaned back, exhausted but relieved. Jack kept the ship steady, alert for any danger. He knew the hunters would not give up, but for now, they had survived. Finally, they reached a small human colony at the edge of space. It was quiet, isolated, and perfect for hiding. Jack landed the ship carefully, and they disembarked. The colony was abandoned, but it had supplies and shelter. Elia checked the baby, who hummed softly, content and safe. Jack looked around. "We can rest here," he said, "but we cannot stay forever. The hunters may return." Elia nodded. "We will be ready," she said. "We have survived worse, together." Jack smiled faintly. Yes, together. He felt a strange hope, a sense that they could face whatever came next. The baby's glow was soft, a reminder that they were not alone and that even the smallest could have power. That night, they rested. The baby slept, Elia whispered softly, and Jack kept watch. The colony was quiet, but he knew that danger was never far away. The hunters were clever, patient, and relentless, but they had survived the first attack, the tunnels, and the battle above ground. They had learned to work together, to trust each other, and to protect what was most important. Jack thought about the journey ahead. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, but also full of hope. The baby, small and fragile, had already changed everything. It had power, awareness, and a connection to them that they did not fully understand. But it gave them a chance, and sometimes that was enough. Elia looked at Jack. "We are safe. For now," she said. Jack nodded. "Yes, for now, but we will be ready." The baby stirred, humming softly, glowing faintly. Jack reached out and held its tiny hand. A strange warmth ran through him. He knew that no matter what came next, they would face it together. The hunters could be clever and strong, but they had courage, trust, and each other. As the night stretched on, Jack and Elia sat near the baby, watching the stars. The galaxy was quiet here, distant and calm, but they knew the silence was only temporary. The hunters would return, but they would be ready. They had survived the darkness, the chase, and the battle. Now they had a moment to breathe, to plan, and to rest. Jack looked at Elia and the baby. He made a silent promise. No matter what came, no matter how strong the hunters were, he would protect them. He would fight. He would endure. Together, they would survive. And in the quiet of the human colony at the edge of space, the three of them rested, knowing that dawn would bring new challenges, but also new hope. The baby hummed softly, glowing faintly, a small light in the darkness. Jack held its hand, feeling the weight of responsibility and the strength that came from trust and courage. The night was dark. The galaxy vast, but for now they had survived. Together, Jack, Elia, and the baby spent the next day quietly in the abandoned colony. The wind whispered through broken walls, carrying dust and distant sounds. Jack checked the ship repeatedly, making sure the engines and systems were ready. He knew the hunters could return at any time, and he wanted no mistakes. Elia fed the baby, humming softly. The glow from its cloth was gentle, calm. She watched Jack work and saw the tension in his movements. He was always alert, always prepared, but she could sense exhaustion beneath the focus. "We cannot stay here long," she said. "They will search this place. Sooner or later they will find us." Jack nodded. "We leave tonight. We fly to the outer rim, somewhere the hunters won't think to look. It will be far, but it is our best chance." Elia agreed. The baby stirred and hummed softly, as if understanding their plan. Jack realized the baby was more aware than he had thought. It sensed danger, guided them, and gave them courage. Without it, they would be lost. As night fell, Jack prepared the ship. Elia held the baby close, checking the straps and blankets. The cold night air crept through the broken walls, but the small glow from the baby warmed the space. Jack climbed into the pilot's seat and started the engines quietly. The hum of the ship blended with the baby's soft sound. "Ready?" Jack asked. Elia nodded. "Let's go." They lifted off the ground, leaving the abandoned colony behind. The stars stretched above them, vast and dark. Jack kept the ship steady, watching the instruments carefully. He knew the hunters could track them, but he had a plan to stay hidden. They moved through asteroid fields, weaving carefully between rocks and debris. Jack's experience as a pilot was critical. He avoided open space where sensors could detect them, and he used shadows and irregular paths to confuse any pursuers. The baby hummed, glowing softly, reacting to nearby danger. Hours passed. The journey was tense and quiet. Jack and Elia took turns resting, never leaving the baby unattended. Its glow was small but steady, a guide, and a shield. They had survived hunts, tunnels, and battles, but the galaxy was still dangerous. On the second day, they detected movement. 3 ships appeared on the sensors, moving fast and efficient. The hunters had tracked them again. Jack's heart tightened, but he did not panic. He had a plan. "We cannot outrun them," he said. "We must outsmart them." Aaliyah held the baby tightly. "We can do this. We know their tactics. We survived worse." Jack nodded. He led the ship into a dense field of small moons and rocks. The hunters followed, but the terrain slowed them. Jack triggered small explosions, debris fields, and false signals. The hunters struggled to maintain formation. The baby hummed loudly, glowing brighter, as if warning them of every danger. Jack realized that the baby's presence was not just guidance. It was protection. The hunters hesitated, confused by its energy. One ship crashed into a small moon, another spun out of control, and the last barely escaped, damaged. "Good," Jack said quietly. "That should buy us time." Aaliyah looked at the baby, smiling faintly. "You are amazing," she whispered. The baby hummed in response, glowing softly. Jack felt hope. They had survived again, but he knew this would not be the last fight. They continued toward the outer rim, a distant region of space rarely traveled. Jack used hidden routes, abandoned stations, and old supply depots to stay ahead of potential pursuers. Aaliyah helped by checking alien signals and reading patterns of nearby traffic. Together, they formed a plan to keep moving without being found. On the 4th day, they reached a small, uncharted planet. It was quiet, isolated, and perfect for hiding. Jack landed the ship carefully and they stepped out. The air was thin but breathable. Rocks and small hills provided cover. The baby hummed softly, glowing faintly. Aaliyah held it tightly. "This place will do for now," she said. "We can rest and plan the next step." Jack nodded. He checked the ship and the surroundings. "We cannot stay too long, but this is a safe moment. We need it." They spent the next hours resting. The baby slept lightly, glowing faintly. Aaliyah whispered softly, humming to it while Jack kept watch. The planet was peaceful, but he knew it was only temporary. Hunters were persistent, and they would not stop until they found the baby. Jack realized that their strength was not just in fighting. It was in trust, teamwork, and hope. They had survived because they protected each other, adapted, and believed in the baby's guidance. He looked at Aaliyah and the child and felt a strong sense of purpose. He would not fail them. The 5th day brought silence, and with it, determination. Jack knew they had to keep moving to reach safety permanently. Aaliyah agreed. "We fly to the outer rim," she said, "beyond known space. No one will follow us there." Jack started the engines, and they lifted off carefully. The baby hummed softly, glowing faintly, as if encouraging them. Jack guided the ship through asteroid belts, hidden channels, and shadowed routes. Hours passed, but the ship moved steadily. On the 6th day, they reached the edge of the outer rim. The stars were sparse and planets were distant. No signs of hunters appeared on the sensors. Jack felt relief, but he did not relax completely. He knew danger could appear unexpectedly. Aaliyah held the baby, whispering softly. "We are safe. For now," she said. The baby hummed, glowing softly in response. Jack smiled faintly. He realized that the baby's presence had been the key to their survival. It was small, fragile, but powerful in ways they could not fully understand. They found an abandoned colony on a quiet moon. It had shelters, supplies, and hidden places. Jack landed the ship carefully, and they stepped out. The air was cold, but breathable. Aaliyah held the baby tightly, checking its glow. "We can stay here for a while," Jack said. "We can rest, recover, and plan the next step." Aaliyah nodded. "Yes, we have survived so much. We need this moment." The baby hummed, a soft light filling the room. Jack felt warmth and hope. They had survived countless dangers, from hunters in space to traps and battles on planets. They had learned to trust each other, to protect each other, and to use the baby's guidance to stay alive. For the first time in days, they felt safe. The hunters were far behind, unable to track them. The galaxy was quiet here, distant and calm. Jack realized that their journey was not over, but they had a chance. A real chance. As night fell on the moon, Jack, Elia, and the baby sat together in the shelter. The stars stretched above them, vast and peaceful. The baby hummed softly, glowing faintly. Elia whispered to it, and Jack watched, feeling a deep sense of responsibility and hope. "We made it," Elia said softly. "We survived everything." Jack nodded. "Yes, and we will survive whatever comes next." The baby stirred, reaching out tiny hands, glowing softly. Jack took one, feeling the warmth and the strange energy it gave him. He realized that their survival was not just about skill or luck, it was about courage, trust, and the bond they had formed. For the first time, Jack felt calm. The galaxy was still dangerous, but they were together. Human, alien, and child. 3 lives bound by trust, courage, and hope. They had faced darkness, hunted by enemies, and survived. And now, in the quiet of the outer rim, they had a moment to breathe, to plan, and to dream of safety. Jack looked at Elia and the baby. He made a silent promise. He would protect them. He would fight for them. He would endure for them. No matter what the future held, they would face it together. The baby hummed softly, glowing faintly, a small light in the darkness. The stars stretched endlessly above them. The night was calm, and for now the hunters were gone. Jack, Elia, and the baby had survived the darkness, the pursuit, and the battles. And together they would continue, facing the galaxy with courage, hope, and the bond that had saved them. As the first faint light of a distant sun touched the horizon, Jack, Elia, and the baby sat quietly, watching. The journey had been long, dangerous, and exhausting, but it had taught them strength, trust, and the power of protecting what mattered most. Jack whispered softly to the baby, "We are safe. We made it. Together." Elia nodded, holding the child close. "Yes, together. Always." The baby hummed, its glow brightening slightly, a small beacon in the vast darkness of space. For the first time, they felt the future was theirs. The hunters were gone, the dangers behind them. The galaxy stretched ahead, full of possibilities and hope. And in that moment, human, alien, and child sat together, ready to face whatever came next, knowing that as long as they were together, they could survive anything. The dark of the galaxy was behind them. The dawn of hope was before them.